Yo, what's up? This is JL the Gifted. This is Behind the Music episode 3. So this one's going to be the muse and mantra of my music. So in other words, a little bit deeper into the inspiration of it. I would consider my music almost like the hip-hop blues. When you most of my subject matters have to do with current events, controversial topics, politics, religion, the worldly perspective, the Christian perspective, and how those things kind of collide, and then also my own personal raw thoughts and emotions, or what I'm actually going through at the time when I wrote it. With overall, why I kind of consider it as like the hip-hop blues is because I touch upon topics and subjects and perspectives that a lot of hip-hop artists don't necessarily convey with that type of extent. You hear about the hardships in their lives. You'll hear about the kind of the more of the standard, the things that kind of outline street cred, which I stay away from that because I don't have any street cred. I was not raised in that type of an environment, so I can't empathize with that environment. So I don't speak on it in the same fashion, but I can sympathize with that environment, and that's one of the things that I do through my own personal views on the situations, and having known people going through those situations and those different hardships. I put those things in my music, and also from hearing people's testimonies even, and coming out of those hardships, or even still being in those hardships and still being devoted to whatever they may be devoted to, whatever their hustle may be, or if they're devoted to God, if they're devoted to their families, whatever. I'm really interested in the biographical portion of people's struggle, and so one of the things that I talk about a lot. I have a track that kind of encompasses those concepts all in one, called Edens, or Every Day's a New Struggle. It's an acronym, and that was a phraseology kind of thing that me and my brother Sam, we kind of created that going through school, and that was kind of what sparked our elephant clothing brand movement. Shameless plug. But that was the whole thing, was supposed to be about the story of the struggle, that every day is a new struggle, a different kind of struggle. Each person has a different struggle or hardship that they're dealing with. And so you can always check that out at Elephant Clothing, and see some of the merch and stuff that we do according to that philosophy. But back to the music. So I put a lot of that in my music. You'll hear a lot about those types of things. I specifically choose a lot of sounds that go with the emotions themselves. It's very rare that a beat is going to sound one way, or a level of production is going to sound one way where the voice doesn't necessarily match that, which is why my voice a lot of times doesn't sound the same on every song. It's supposed to usually invoke a different type of an emotion depending on the track. It's just straight therapy for me, to be honest. So whatever I may be feeling at that time, I'll usually jot those things down. I'm really big on living in the moment of whatever that emotion might be. Although outwardly I may not always express it, inwardly I hold on to it, and I usually put it out in some sort of a form of music or poetry. And so a lot of my tracks have to do with those things. And so, for example, with that Every Day's a New Struggle track, that Eden's track, the first track is about the police brutality, the black and white relation, the systemic systemic and formulaic structure that is out there against minorities. The next verse talks about the immigrants, the people that specifically at the time that I wrote that song, that was when Arizona was having so many issues with immigration and all these weird policies were coming forth. And, you know, I have a huge high regard for immigrants and the cultures of immigration that come through here, whether it's neighboring from Mexico or South America, coming overseas from the Pacific Islands, Philippines, anywhere, China, Japan, the Asian continents, from India, from Africa, from all the different places that people come over here and are trying to make a better life for themselves. That's what that verse is talking about there in that second verse of the track. And then lastly, it's kind of like a narrative on the negativity that's surrounding Christianity because of how Christianity has been used in so many negative ways, and to now where everyone has just a different polarity to morals in general. Just talks about kind of like how it's hard for when it comes to religious freedom, it's hard for Christians to speak out because it always sounds like it's from a perspective of being hateful or a hate crime or whichever, which is something that's kind of a narrative that's out there right now. So that song kind of encompasses those three things, which kind of encompasses how I structure a lot of my topics, and those ones are speaking from both personal observations, personal feelings, and personal emotions that I get from those topics. So definitely worth checking it out if you haven't heard it already. I'll be doing behind the music series for each album and their inspiration, as well as for each track. Also I forgot one other thing too. One of the things that I include a lot of is emotional state of mind and mental health. As somebody who deals with my own emotional and mental health kind of I don't know if you want to call it problems or issues that come in and out, but it's big right now with anxiety, depression, image issues, just self-worth issues, and self-purpose issues in life is a big thing right now. We're seeing it a lot with a lot of artists, that are leaving us too soon, by way of suicide and other things like that. We're seeing just how much these last few generations have just been bombarded with stressful life situations that skew the minds and thoughts and actions of people. And so I do touch upon that quite a bit as someone who never knew that I even had any type of anxiety or depression type of issues. I thought I just had anger issues at one point, but it appears it's a handful of those things, and I think it's a way of me saying, hey, you were not alone to those people that are going through that, and then also you were not alone to those people on the outside looking in, seeing their loved ones struggle with different things like that. So this is Behind the Music in a nutshell. Stay tuned for more episodes from JL the Gifted. Peace.